New this morning, search teams have suspended operations in the Mediterranean after that Italian cruise ship ran aground on Friday. We're told this because the position of the ship actually shifted overnight, and you can see in this live picture the way it is laying now. Italian officials say at least 23 people are still unaccounted for. After the disaster last week, 11 people are confirmed dead. Now, rescuers say they were able to recover 4 men and 1 woman from the submerged portion of the ship yesterday. And we've also learned the captain, who allegedly abandoned ship, was released from jail and placed under house arrest. He has not formally been charged. This morning, we hear from a local couple back in the United States now after being on board the Costa Concordia when it hit those rocks off the coast of Italy on Friday. 10 to your side's David Culver joins me now with more on their emotional story, and I'm sure they're seeing the live pictures as well at home and knowing, 23 people are still unaccounted for.
It's tough for them. There's no question.
Yeah.
They see the live pictures, and when you hear their story, you can't help but to think back to the Titanic in 1912, especially when you hear stories as they describe leaving the boat on a life raft. They said as the lifeboat was being lowered, other passengers were actually jumping from the ship onto their lifeboat. Now, making matters even more difficult to process, Karen Kennedy and Rick Langland say they actually had dinner with a Minnesota couple hours before the disaster struck. This morning, that couple is still missing.
That's the lifeboat we got on.
Pointing to the front page of several international newspapers, Karen Kennedy and Rick Langlands relived the moment their seemingly picture-perfect vacation turned into a nightmare.
And we heard like this big noise, and then the electricity went off.
The lights out, the ship no longer cruising. Kennedy and Langlands knew something wasn't right.
We still didn't realize what had happened, but we thought, with the electricity off, we may not be able to get back into our cabin, and so we may as well go down there and make sure we can get into the cabin and grab some stuff just in case. We still didn't think we would be evacuating, but we didn't want our stuff in the cabin either.
They grabbed money, credit cards, a cell phone, and their birth certificates. In the midst of the chaos, they headed to the upper deck. They found a lifeboat with fewer passengers waiting to board. As their lifeboat started to lower, the hysteria sparked other passengers to jump in from the abandoned ship.
And they started to push it off the side of the boat, and people started jumping from the boat into our lifeboat, and it messed up the weight distribution.
An axe was used to cut a cord and rebalance the boat. Then they finally made it to the water.
Once we got in the water, I knew we were safe. I knew we weren't going to sink with the ship. I knew we weren't going to die.
Now back safe in Hampton Roads, the emotions still surface.
Sorry.
Especially when they think of the Hiles. There's no trace of the Minnesota couple with whom they shared dinner just hours before the disaster.
Very spiritual people, very kind people.
And from the lifeboat, Kennedy and Langlands got to Rome. In their hotel, they contacted the U.S. State Department. Now, because they had their certified birth certificates, they were able to easily get temporary passports to fly back home. And Carrie, we're told that they were actually the first 2 of the 4,200 passengers to get those temporary passports.
Yeah.
It seems that, their calm and preparation served them well.
Well, I know in their conversations with 10 on your side, they had mentioned that they were experienced travelers,
right,
and that experience seemed to pay off. You never want to think something like that will happen on a trip, but to have the right documents with them to make sure they kept them close by as all that was happening, there are real lessons for other travelers and the way they handled themselves.
Definitely. The reality is they're back home safe this morning, able to tell their story because of that preparation.
All right, and we will keep checking in on those live pictures off the coast of Italy and continue to follow this story for you.